Honorable Raksha Rajya Mantri Shri Ajay Bhatt, Shri Vijay Kumar Singh, Secretary ESW, our distinguished speakers on the dais, senior officers from services and from Ministry of Defence, esteemed delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare, I welcome you all to this seminar on harnessing partnership for veterans, rehabilitation, welfare and medical care. I am Commodore H.P. Singh, Secretary, Kendriya Sainik Board, and I shall take you through the events of this seminar today. This is indeed a debut event by Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare in Aero India. As part of Amrit Kal 2023-47, efforts are being made to garner greater partnership for our veterans. It is an attempt to utilize the platform of Aero India 23 for greater promotion and awareness among participating corporate partners towards this field. Shri Vijay Kumar Singh assumed charge as Secretary Kendriya Sainik Welfare under Ministry of Defence on 19 September 22. He is a 1990 batch IS officer of Punjab cadre who has an experience of more than 32 years in administration. Prior to this appointment, he served as Special Secretary in Ministry of Textile and also served as Joint Secretary in the Department of Personnel and Training. He was extensively involved in reforming the government policies and schemes in textile sector. I would like to request Shri Vijay Kumar Singh to kindly give the opening remarks.
It's my proud privilege to welcome Honorable Sri Ajay Bhatt ji, Raksha Rajya Mantri, Government of India. Sir, this occasion of Aero India, we have from the Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare, we have come out with a seminar and we have a proper stall also. So many people have been asking that what's the reason and what's the background of this. So I have a presentation, kindly put that presentation on. That PPT. Oh, okay, sorry. So why are we looking at veterans welfare, a collaborative approach? Next. Next. What's the reason? That's the first. Why am I here in this Aero India show? Because the respectable life with dignity for the veteran attracts the best talent to join the forces. So how the society treats the veteran, it's very important factor, because we have lived in the district and all, and we feel that there is a lot of work to do in this field. This also encourages the soldier on duty at border to do his best. It can encourages him for even sacrificing his life for our peace and safety. Services people mostly live in the cantonments at border and quite away from their native place. And a large number of them superannuate early, and when they go back after retirement to the home, they need some help. And as a grateful nation, we need to do something. Defense is very important, we all know. No one other than Indian will know that, because just due to the poor defense system only, we almost lost our civilization. And we have suffered heavily in past. We had best of the universities. People from all over the world used to come to study, but it all got lost because the defense system was not very effective. So one question also must be coming to your mind, that why government is asking the citizen, corporate also to join in this thing. So government is doing quite a lot in this field. We will continue to do that, and we will improve on that. But there is always scope to top up something is being done by the government. If the nation, the society does it, it's ingrained, the effect will be much better. The satisfaction level, which I am telling you that despite us doing so much, still there is a lot scope to do. Next. So what are we doing as such, from the government side? This is we are providing pensions to our forces. The government, when came in 2014, this government allowed them one rank, one pension scheme, which we have revised it. And since 2019, they are getting that. There's a lot of expenditure is happening. Around this year, the pension bill of the government of India will be 1,50,000 crore. Next. Other services which government provides to the veteran is the health services. It's one of the best health services. Still, there can be more to do. Something, it can be further improved. But definitely, we are doing a good service to the veteran, that cashless and capless at large number of impaneled hospital, the service is available, quite decent service is available. Next. Then we look for the resettlement. The reservation in the C and D category of job, some state governments provide in the higher category also, the welfare schemes by the Kendriya Sainik Board, Raj Sainik Board, and we, with the help of state governments, we try to resolve their personal issues also. Even the services have its own veteran wing, and they also take care of their concern. If something is not getting sorted out, things are escalated, so government is doing that. Next. So what I want to you all to focus on this. This is a trend which we cannot miss. India is at a very, very critical moment. You kindly focus on the lowermost bottom two slice. You will find the population. This is the absolute number I'm talking. Absolute number of people, children in 0 to 10 group is less than what it is from 11 to 20. So the Indian demographic pyramid, the population pyramid is now shrinking. And it has a lot of implications. I read while coming here, the large number of houses in Kerala are vacant. Nobody is living there. So many engineering colleges seats are remaining vacant. Schools are remaining vacant. So there is less number of children coming. And this will ultimately impact the industry and economy, because the workforce ready for recruitive job will also be less. Next. And this is the reason for the reduction, the demographic transition happening. You can see, to maintain the population, that TFR has to be 2.1. But as a nation, we have average is 2. So that's why our pyramid is shrinking. And you see many states, all developed part of India is much lower than 2. Right from North Kashmir to Kerala, you see it is a huge shortage of the worker being felt already by the industry. Next. The green group of industry, which is labor intensive and all, somehow remain not so developed. But with the current focus of the current government, the Prime Minister's Make in India initiative, the PLI schemes in all those sectors are also moving and looking for large number of people to employ. So there will be a lot of demand. Next. So there will be a lot of demand for workers. And the developed part of India, like Bangalore, I know large number of the textile industry and other industry, they are facing shortage of people. There are not enough worker available. Even internal migration has reduced. So I think it will be a good sense for the business to look for the veterans population who have around 20, 30 years active balanced life, because they retire at age of 40, 35 to 40. So basically, as to meet their HR requirement, our people, the veterans, can be a very good source. So disciplined and hardworking, so that the businesses will be very better off if they focus on that. Next. And it's a noble cause also. A grateful society must go beyond the normal life to support the cause in the larger interest of the nation building. Be a part of mechanism to help the soldiers. We have a system of Armed Force Flag Day Fund, because there are many type of eventualities arises in the life of a veteran, and we give the detailed presentation will be made later. You will come to know that what all support government provides. But this is a public contribution fund. If you can contribute in that, you can take up improve the life of the veteran. And now we are coming up with a lot of other innovative projects also. So if you are not interested in donating in the fund but want to take up the project yourself as a CSR person responsible for your company or industry, so then lot of micro enterprise development project, employment generation, the self-employment project, we can jointly devise and all, and we can take that forward. So that is the reason I thought there's a information sharing, communication is very important, because veteran is a very, very important part of defense ecosystem. We should not forget, and we try to do as much and as better as we can do. So that's only thing I would like to stop here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As Secretary, Kendriya Sainik Board, it's my proud privilege to extend a very warm welcome to Honorable Raksha Rajya Mantri Shri Ajay Bhatt. Under his dynamic vision and leadership, we are able to launch and sustain various policies and schemes for the veterans, Veer Naris, and their dependents. Honorable Raksha Rajya Mantri has been a constant pillar of support and motivation for bringing about a meaningful change in the lives of dependents of our soldiers who have sacrificed their lives for the country. Let me take this opportunity to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Minister for taking out his valuable time from a busy schedule and gracing this occasion to motivate us. I would like to request Honorable Raksha Rajya Mantri Shri Ajay Bhatt to kindly deliver the keynote address.
भारत माता की जय। हमारे यहाँ पर सेक्रेटरी साहब, उन्होंने सारी चीज़ें बता दी हैं, सब कुछ आ भी गया है। और आपके मेंबर जो हमारे बीच में एनए से बैठे हैं, और हमारे अभी आपको बीच में पूरा ही बता दिया है, आर्मी ऑफिसर्स और अन्य डिग्निटरीज, और आगे जितने भी लोग बैठे हैं, हमारे उद्योगपति बैठे होंगे, हमारे एक्स सर्विसमैन ऑफिसर्स बैठे होंगे, बहनें बैठी हैं। मुझे आदेश हुआ है कि मैं 5 मिनट ही आपके बीच में बोल पाऊंगा। मैं इतना ही कहना चाहता हूं कि आज हम जल में, थल में, नभ में बहुत मजबूत हुए हैं। 7-8 सालों में भारत का कायाकल्प हो गया है। सिपरी नामक संस्था की अगर आप रिपोर्ट देखेंगे, जो अथॉरिटी मानी जाती है आर्मी और अन्य सुरक्षा के मामलों में विश्व की, तो जो एक्सपोर्ट करने वाले देश हैं उसमें 25 टॉप देश चुने गए, 25 टॉप कंट्रीज, और उसमें पहली बार भारत ने एंट्री करी है। हम टॉप देशेज में आए हैं। अब आप समझ सकते हैं कि टॉप कंट्रीज में आए हैं, कितनी तेज़ी से हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। और आज जो हमने शो देखा, उससे भी हमको अंदाज़ा लगता है कि हम कहाँ चले गए हैं। सारी चीज़ें इंडिजिनस बना रहे हैं। जिस दिन हमने INS विक्रांत को भारत को दिया था, जिस पर युद्धपोत है हमारा, जो एयरक्राफ्ट है उस पर रखे हैं हमने, तो उसमें पूरी दुनिया की आंखें खुल गई। आज कोई अगर डरता है तो हमसे डरता है, कोई अगर आपस में मिलान करने के लिए देखता है, हमको देखता है। यूक्रेन और रसिया को मनाया तो हमने मनाया, अपने बच्चों को सुरक्षित ले आए, और हम आज देश की 5वीं आर्थिक शक्ति बन गए हैं। 10वें से छलांग लगा लिया। जिन्होंने हमको एक किस्म से गुलामी बने इतने सालों तक, वो उनको हमने पीछे कर दिया। आखिर कुछ तो बात है, कुछ तो हो रहा होगा। ये सब आपकी बदौलत हो रहा है। अभी जो भूतपूर्व सैनिक हैं उनके बारे में सारी चीज़ें आपने सेक्रेटरी साहब ने बता दी हैं, मैं अधिक नहीं बोलूँगा। मैं आपसे कहना चाहता हूँ कि अगर उद्योगपति इसमें हैं हमारे यहाँ पर, मेरा आपसे दिल खोल के निवेदन है, विनम्र निवेदन, जितना दान दे सके उतना दीजिएगा। जो हमारा यहाँ पर आर्म्ड फोर्सेज फ्लैग डे फंड होता है, खुल के दीजिए, खुल के काम हो रहा है। मैं एक निवेदन सबसे कहना चाहूँगा कि खिड़की या मोहाली जाके आइए, मेरा निवेदन है आप लोगों से, देख के आना चाहिए, लोगों को कम को पता है। खिड़की और मोहाली में क्या है, ऐसे जवान, ऐसे अधिकारी हैं जिनका जीवन लगभग लगभग समाप्त हो गया है। यहाँ से नीचे को काम नहीं करता है, लेकिन वो अपनी व्हील चेयर पर हैं, वो बैडमिंटन खेल रहे हैं, वो टीटी खेल रहे हैं, वो भाषण दे रहे हैं, भारत माता के लिए कुर्बान होने के लिए जो बातें कहते हैं उससे दिल इतना प्रफुल्लित होता है। जिसके पास हाथ पैर ब्रेन सब ठीक काम कर रहा है तो उसके लिए प्रेरणा है। कम लोगों को पता है कि खिड़की और मोहाली में कैसे लोग रहते हैं। मैंने उनका वीडियो सुना। मैं सेक्रेटरी साहब आपसे मेरा रहेगा कि उसको वायरल खूब करिए, आज भी यहाँ दिखाते तो एक वो प्रेरणा होती उससे। जो दिखाया दिया है, हाँ जरूर दिखाइए प्रेजेंटेशन में। इसलिए किसी भी चीज की कमी पूर्व सैनिकों के लिए सरकार अभी नहीं कर रही है, जो चाहिए वो कर रहे हैं। OROP के बारे में बता दिया है, छुटमुट बातें थी, वो छुटमुट बातें भी पूरी हो रही हैं। छोटी बहुत कमियां भी रहती हैं, उसे भी पूर्ति की जा सकती है। 50 सालों से चली आई डिमांड को अभी पूरा किया गया है। तो इसलिए अब हम अपनी जो विडोज हैं उनकी लड़कियों के लिए अगर हम शादी के लिए दे रहे हैं 50-50 हज़ार रुपये दे रहे हैं, अगर 2 लड़कियां हैं। अगर कोई विडो हमारी मैरिज करना चाहती है उनको भी हम 50 हज़ार रुपये दे रहे हैं। सुविधाएं देखिए आप, बच्चों को पढ़ने के लिए अलग से दे रहे हैं। जो हमारे हम दिव्यांग बच्चे हैं उसके लिए लखनऊ में हमारा चेसेस होम है, शायद है क्या है ना, उसमें उसके लिए हम पूरा का पूरा, वो दिव्यांग बच्चे हैं उनके लिए हम धनराशि दे रहे हैं। एक बहुत बड़ी फेहरिस्त हमारे पास है, कुछ तो आपने बताई हैं, कुछ अभी हमारे पास यहाँ पर नहीं है। इसलिए मैं सिर्फ इतना ही कह के अपनी वाणी को विराम दूंगा। बहुत तेज़ी से हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं क्योंकि मुझे RM साहब से आगे एक फंक्शन में जाना होता है, वो वहाँ पहुँचने वाले हैं। मैं शुभकामना देता हूँ इतने अच्छे फंक्शन के लिए। और आज देश विदेशों के इतनी बड़ी संख्या में लोग यहाँ आए हैं। जो हमारा बायलैटरल चल रहा है, कुछ देशों के रक्षा मंत्रियों के साथ स्वयं मैं वार्ता कर रहा हूँ और RM साहब बहुत सारे और CDO साहब वो भी कर रहे हैं, CSD साहब। तो इसलिए हम लोग अभी उस पर भी लगे हैं। जो फीडबैक आ रहा है प्रफुल्लित करने वाला है, जो विदेशों का दृष्टिकोण हमारे बारे में है, देश के बारे में बहुत ही खुशी देने वाला है। इतना ही कह के मैं आपके इस फंक्शन की बहुत अच्छी तरह से आपके द्वारा किए जाने के लिए आप सबको बधाई देता हूं। मेरी शुभकामना है, आशा है अगर हमारे उद्योगपति इसमें होंगे, इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट, वो जरूर बेर सहायता देते हैं और हमेशा की तरह दिल खोल के इसमें दान करेंगे ताकि उनके एक एक पाई का जो हिसाब होता है वो धर्म में जा रहा है, वो परोपकार में जा रहा है। वो जो नेचर ने हमको एक किस्म से उद्योग लगाने का भगवान की कृपा रही है, हमको ये धन दौलत दी है, उसका वो अंश आपका उधर जा रहा है, बेकार नहीं जाता है। उसके पाई पाई का हिसाब अकाउंटेबल है, हम उसका हिसाब रखते हैं और उसके हिसाब का बाकायदा हमारे वहाँ लेखा जोखा हर साल का हम लोग जो तरीका होता है उससे रखते हैं। इसी के साथ मैं शुभकामना देते हुए अपनी वाणी को विराम देता हूँ। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। भारत माता की जय।
Next, we have Major General Sharad Kapoor, who is tenanting the appointment of Director General Resettlement, the nodal agency for resettlement of veteran soldiers. Major General Kapoor has an illustrious career spanning over 3.5 decades. The general officer has served extensively in intense counterinsurgency operations spanning from Jammu Kashmir to Northeast. He is a graduate of Defense Services Staff College, Wellington, and has attended Higher Command course at Army War College, Mau. Major General Sharad Kapoor shall be speaking on harnessing potential of ESM in emerging defense industry. Sir.
Thanks. May I, sir? Thank you, sir. Honorable Secretary DSW, Shri VK Singh ji, distinguished panelists on the stage, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's really an honor to be standing here as the first ever seminar being organized by the Department of DSW, where I would also be the first speaker to give you an insight with respect to what we are or our department and what we look forward for a jointmanship with all of you sitting in our audience there. Ladies and gentlemen, as there's an old saying that the crow went looking for water and he landed up to the glass. So while I also started thinking, but it is the other way around now, where the water or the well of water has reached to the crow, where we look forward that in such a large gathering, we are honored to be here on the first seminar, and that too, how to honor our ex-servicemen, which our Honorable Secretary just told you, and why we have to be. Oh, I've gone faster. Yeah. We are there. We are already on the social media. We bridge the gap. That is the Department of Resettlement. You can Google us, and we are there with respect to whether it is the website or Twitter or Facebook, or our numbers are also displayed in our website over there. The objective of the day is very clear. There is a small history to it. In the last Deaf Expo in Gandhinagar, when I was there, I happened to meet my Honorable Secretary and General Upadhyaya together at the dinner. And General Upadhyaya, who's very distinguished guest sitting here, he told his HR head, "Are, you need manpower? Here is the man. Please take it." So that gave us an idea that we have to move forward and make sure that you people know from where to take the trained manpower. So objective is very clear. If we join hand, the jobs for the veteran, respectable jobs. It is not that the job we are looking at, a respectable job which our Honorable Secretary said in the beginning only, that he must get respect for what he has delivered for the nation. Just a small environmental scan, which is very clear to you all. If you look at it, we are already moving towards the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. And see where Indian defense industry is developing. The data is in front of you. It's large. We are not small. We employ more than 2 lakh people today, and is going to grow, as we have thought about it as a nation, that we need to grow in this part for which we have not grown from so many years. So that is where we are. Now a word about Department of Ex-Servicemen, which is overall part of Ministry of Defense, in which there are three very important pillars: the DG Resettlement, Kendriya Sainik Board, which is headed by Commodore H.P. Singh. Then we have the Ex-Servicemen Health Scheme, which is headed by Major General Indurkar sitting here. And under DGR, we are pan-India. We have office pan-India, all from north to east to south to west. So we are available to you all as and when required. All details are available on the website. I'll not get into that. Coming on to a little role, it is very clear. It is nothing. We empower the ex-serviceman who's given his youth to basically get into a respectable job in the country and be part of the nation building and capacity. To do that, we have certain ways. One of them is training. We reskill them. Basically, it is not reskilling, it is just reorienting them. We just reorient them. We're doing jobs, similar kind of jobs, similar kind of things in a different way, or in the better way, or in the similar way. So it is just reorienting themselves. Then we also help them into various placements, whether it is a self-employed or otherwise it is there. And also we oversee their deployment into the central state jobs which are reserved for them, and we try and place them at the earliest so that they enjoy a respectable career thereafter. A little about the veteran scan. We have 30 lakh ex-servicemen. All are not looking for jobs. They are there around us. But we have approximate figure of 60,000 veterans. And in this, majority are the JCOs OR equivalent who joined a young boy of 16 or 17. He has joined the armed forces and he retires early. And they retire, I'll cover that little later, how much is the percentage. They are the one who make most of it. Officer is approximate 2,000 in this. We look for their employment in government services, because, or the state services, because they are very respectable jobs and they find it very comfortable. And if that doesn't happen, he has a mindset set for him and he gets into his own cocoon and goes back to his home and settle down there. So before he reaches that mindset, the aim is to put him into nation building and nation capacity building. This is the data. Approximate 75 to 85% people, they retire up to 45 years. Because as I said, he joins at 17, he's supposed to do minimum color service, we call it, or the uniform service of 15 to 17 years, and by 35, he's out on the street. And he has almost 50% of his career, if not 50%, 45% of his career left to him, and he's well trained, disciplined, which I'll talk little later. Certain challenges which come up. You all know it. And that is where the problem lies, is that the general ignorance which is around, like I was speaking to our honorable guest speaker, he didn't know that DGR also does this. So that is where we are. That is the most challenge, and that is why we are here. As I said, the water has reached the crow, and that is what we're trying to achieve today, collectively. Now, when the veterans are getting into the jobs, now what kind of jobs are available? You all know it, that your dots, that is the corporate and industry dots, meet the armed forces dot. Because our stock is coming from all over India. if you happen to diversify and open a office stroke industry or a factory in an area where you find that you are not getting the skilled or a disciplined force, they are around you. It is only tapping them, which I said is due to ignorance. And that is where we need to have cooperation between the two of us, and it's a win-win situation for all of us. That is what we look for from you. Now you all know, it is well said, most of you either are wearing uniform or affiliated or seen around. It is not that man in the Hindi movie, that man sitting with big mustache and a gun. It is not that. It is the qualities of the veteran you have to look for. Today, he's tech savvy. He's no more that old man, age man who's come from village and just gone back to village. He understands all technology, which I'll cover a little later. The beauty is that he has the ability to handle stress. The most important thing, it doesn't buckle. And this is one of the best quality which emerges outside world. Strong work ethics, very important. He has that, and other qualities you know. And last but not the least I'll touch is selfless loyalty to the organization. He joins you, he works for you. The day he leaves you, then only he stops thinking about you. But he doesn't leave, which I'll cover a little later. Here, now certain advantages which you accrue if you take him. He's experienced, as I told you, he's developed a lot of skills today. He's no more that man with the gun or danda standing outside. He has grown in his technology, in his mind, in his education qualification. And as I said in the last slide, he's not now prone to job hopping. He wants to settle down fast, of course, to certain terms and references which he builds for himself, like any other individual, which are required. Now, certain solutions to all the sectors which we are looking at. We have very senior officers. We have it on the dais. Some of you are sitting there, already working. They are available to you. They can be employed as director, advisors to your organization. They carry a lot of experience and wisdom with them. Operational, earlier you've been thinking only that he can get into security. No, he's handled operations. It is just that once he reorients himself, he's available in the market and he does a very good job. We have a large number of middle and junior level managers who are coming out. They have minimum 10 years of experience and they are full with ideas, they've seen it. So these are the people you should tap them more, which we look at. And last but not least is the last point or the bullet which you see. He looks for dignity and we too look for dignity for him. So that is what you have to make sure while you are offering the job to him. Please don't offer a job which is below his dignity. That is what we harp upon. Now certain skills and competencies which I talked of. You know, a couple of years back there was an ad of Tata's Salt, you must have seen most of you, in which a middle-aged or an old couple would dance. And in the last 4 seconds or 3 seconds, 4 words would be said after they have spoken about Tata Salt. It just said, we also make steel. So similarly, we make steel, we take care of the nation in security, but we also make salt. And that is the salt which is in front of you. It is just some of the, I can say, employment generating opportunities he's accrued himself. Otherwise, if you look at it, he has done all these kind of, majority of the jobs he's done it, which one of my panelist speaker is going to speak a little more. I'll not like to take the thunder out. So he's a data handler, he's everything you name it, he has done it. Okay, because we are in the forces taught that we are jack of all, master of none. But today, you find specialists coming out. We have the specialists sitting, we have the specialist in the audience. So all these people are there. If you look at the skills which I am talking, in the army only, these are some of the identified. Otherwise, we have to the tune of 140 trades which are employed. So you can well imagine where we are. In the Navy, have a look. He's done the operational officer. He's done the communication operator. I'm just talking about some of them. In Air Force, best people in the future, as the Indian airspace or the air industry is going to grow, air traffic controllers, engineers, technicians, and they are highly qualified. Radar fitters. So all these people are available, and they are minimum, I can say today, diploma graduates or diploma holders, or some of them are masters in some of the subjects. So that is where we are. After having seen all this, we have a role, what we do. This is the environmental scan I thought I must tell you. Now, having done that, today's ex-servicemen are very better qualified, if you look at it. He's better trained. So that is where they are. And they've been now trained in best of the institutes in India. They'd get reskilled or reoriented from that. We have honored guest also sitting here from Niti, who have come all the way. Is one of the top, decided to train our JCOs and other ranks also. So you can well imagine which side we are moving, and we are looking forward to these people. We can give you in the senior rank independent directors who will give you correct advice to the industry people. JCOs OR. We have the retail managers, we have other technicians available, we have the web designing, we have the marine engineering. All these people are available to you. Cyber security, they handle. So these are the people, this kind of, I've just given you a small scan. Otherwise, I've talked about when it comes to calling the shots, we find them outside world asking for jobs. This is where the industry and corporate has to meet the idea, in which there is a massive infra development which is taking place in the country in the form of roads, highways, dedicated, which is a profit-making unit, employment-generating unit. Not only he gets employed, he also provides employment to the other people also, which is the larger vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, so that he gives more employment. Once we have this, either through CSR or loan funding, we arrive both together, and then loan is spread on the softer terms for a couple of years, and thereafter, the business is his. He can move forward in life if he wants to, and will be fully supported by DGR and Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare. That is what we are looking at. And this is what we partnership, that we request you to go into campus placement. Our training programs are on right now also. Like I'll give you an example of IIM Ahmedabad, the program is on, Niti program is on. Please walk up to them. All schedules are on our website. Contact them. They'll be able to guide you for the best man for your best job. Then we hold our job seminars. We just held one in the East in Guwahati. We request you to participate in that also. And entrepreneurship model, which I just talked about, that we are looking forward. I'll just touch upon what the world is doing around and why we should not be doing. Just see, scan what the developed and the best people are doing around us. Just an example. They have an employee resource group. Online job portals have come up, especially for ESM, which we are in the process of making one, similar. So this is what we look forward from you all. And way forward, ladies and gentlemen, is that we look forward to shake hand with you all so that we move ahead and you harness, and it's a win-win situation on the both sides. And I think together, I'm sure we'll be able to make a difference. Thank you. He's the gentleman who has represented country in Olympics. But he's with us with Mother Dairy. He's providing jobs not only to one, 8 people today. So I leave with a thought to you. We are around you. Please tap us. We'll be able to give you the best people. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Now, the next presentation is by myself, Secretary, Kendriya Sainik Board. A few words about my introduction. I have served in the Navy for over the last 32 years, attended appointments in operation as well as staff, commanded 3 ships. I am a alumnus of Staff College as well as the College of Defense Management, Secunderabad. I shall be covering the presentation on the CSR partnership for veterans welfare, and I shall be covering some welfare schemes which we give to our ESMs. The scope of my presentation is what is the need for veterans welfare, Armed Forces Flag Day Fund objectives, various welfare schemes for the individual as well as for the institutes, some significant enhancements in the last 2 to 3 years, and how we can tap our CSR partners. Now, the challenges in the serving conditions, already the Major General Kapoor has already highlighted that. We and the armed forces, we have a pivotal role in the national security, wide spectrum of operations ranging from energy security at sea to borders, HADR operations. As we are speaking, our forces are deployed in Syria and Egypt for the earthquake relief operations. One important aspect which happens is during the injuries which happens during peacetime, during the operations, as well as during the training, which leaves a lot of sailors and jawans with a life-threatening injuries. We have a need to keep our armed forces young, and majority of them retire at the age of 35 to 40. And at that stage, they have young children, aged parents to look after, and therefore they are looking for their second career also. As Honorable RM has reiterated many times that it is our moral duty and obligation to look after our disabled comrades and veterans, war widows and dependents, and it's a national responsibility. Consistent endeavors have been made by the government to provide funds, but there is a need for more funds so that the pendency is minimum and we can enhance certain welfare schemes, the monetary benefits, which I shall cover in the subsequent slides. I am, as a Secretary KSB, I wear 2 hats, one as a Secretary Kendriya Sainik Board and second as Secretary Armed Forces Flag Day Fund. We look after the veterans' welfare grievances and reach out to them through a network of 34 Rajya Sainik boards and 407 Zilla Sainik boards throughout the country. And all our grants are processed online, paperless, and disbursed through direct bank transfer. In this coming slides, I shall be dwelling upon Armed Forces Flag Day Fund. On 7th of December every year, we celebrate Armed Forces Flag Day. It's basically to honor and pay tribute to those who have laid down their lives and also those who have got disabled while carrying out their duty. It's also an occasion to renew the bond between the citizens and the armed forces and reaffirm our resolve to ensure resettlement and welfare of our ex-servicemen, the widows, and their dependents. Aim is basically that we should not forget that we are celebrating our today because of their sacrifices. Armed Forces Flag Day Fund is a charitable endowment under Ministry of Defense, and the management is headed by Honorable Raksha Mantri, and main objective is to provide financial support in terms of welfare measures to individual as well as to the institutes. I must put on record the government has been very supportive in providing us funds, but our aim is to generate more funds so that there's no pendency and some of the benefits can be enhanced. Now coming to welfare schemes and institutional grants, these are the schemes which we give it to individual. For example, the first scheme, which is the penury grant, it is given to ESM who is a non-pensioner who's above 65 years of age, to either him or his widow, and so that they can live a life with certain dignity. Other schemes which are there, education grant to the children, marriage grant to 2 daughters, even to widows for their marriage, and other vocational grants, including the medical benefits to people who are not availing the facilities of ECHS, basically those not getting the pension. Now, as the Honorable RRM has mentioned during his speech, we have 2 paraplegic centers at Mohali and Kirki, and where we look after the veterans who have spinal injuries, and majority of them are on the wheelchair. We call them Home of the Unbreakable Soldiers. And these are the special breed of warriors who have not let their disabilities come in the way of their achievements. They make us believe that it is not the disability, but the ability that counts. Please have a look at the video.
वतन के लिए जब तक जान तन में है, अरे जिएंगे तो यारों आजाद होकर, वरना गुलाम जीकर भी क्या करेंगे।
सारी ज़िंदगी व्हीलचेयर में व्यतीत करना इतना इजी नहीं होता है, तो इनको ये सेंटर जो है, ये बेसिकली इनको एक नया ज़िंदगी देने की कोशिश करता है, या इनफैक्ट दे रहा है मैं कहूँगा। इनके मन में एक सकारात्मक विचार का पैदा करना जो है वो सबसे बड़ी बात होती है, तो वो हम इनके मन में पैदा करते हैं और उन्हें ये कहते हैं कि इट इज़ नॉट द डिसेबिलिटी बट द एबिलिटी दैट काउंट्स।
2 साल तक मैं कुछ नहीं कर सका, 4-5 साल तक मैंने 83 से 87 तक मैंने कुछ नहीं कर पाया। 87 से मैंने स्पोर्ट्स में खेलना शुरू हो गया पुराने लोगों को देखकर।
यहाँ पे जब आया एंट्री हुआ तब कई प्लेयर लोग ऐसे थे जो इंडियन कलर के टी शर्ट पहन के घूम रहे थे। 2014 में बैडमिंटन ज्वाइन किया मैंने।
जीतते वही हैं जिनमें जान होती है, अरे जीतते वही हैं जिनमें जान होती है, पैरों से नहीं हौसलों से उड़ान होती है। चलो आज फिर वो नज़ारा याद कर ले, शहीदों के दिल में थी वो ज्वाला याद कर ले, जिसमें बहकर जवान पहुंचे थे बॉर्डर पर, अरे देशभक्ति के खून की वो धारा याद कर ले।
In addition to Paraplegic Center, we have War Memorial Hostel, 36 of them, which are run by Regimental Center of Indian Army, where the children of the martyrs soldiers, they stay and they attend the schools which are close by to these War Memorial Hostels. In addition, we have 3 Cheshire homes in Lucknow, Dehradun and Delhi, where we look after the veterans who are critically ill. It is a home for them. Some of the significant achievements in last 2 to 3 years, as you have seen, we have given over 600 crores to more than 2.5 beneficiaries in last 3 years. In financial year 21-22 itself, we have disbursed around 400 crores to 1.7 beneficiaries. In addition, these schemes we review periodically, and as you can see, the amount has been enhanced over a period of time. So that is where our pitch for the CSR community comes up, that in case we have more money, we can enhance the schemes, like for example, the marriage scheme, which is we are giving to 2 daughters 50,000 each, can be enhanced to 1 lakh, just a point in case. In addition, we have a dedicated Armed Forces website, which was launched by Honorable RM on 29th of November. It is basically for the ease of donation. And also a promotional campaign on Red FM was run for almost a month in December. and V for Veteran video for the veteran was also launched. CSR projects are under the section 135 of Company Act, and they are also exempted from income tax, which you are fully aware. Now, this slide is important from the audience point of view, that a lot of schemes which are there, which I have shown, whether they were individual or institution, they can be funded by the CSR in the project mode. And the popular fields which are there are the marriage, education, orphan children, and penury. And you have a choice, whichever scheme you prefer, you can, fund those schemes. And under the project route, we'll give you the following documents, including the project report and also the details where your money is going to each and every beneficiary. Annual CSR conclave we do every year. This year it was done on 29th of November, where Honorable Raksha Mantri facilitates the major contributors. People have donated on the tune of almost about 10 crores plus at times, and it is held in Delhi every year in Manekshaw Center. Some of the glimpses of Armed Forces CSR conclave and the major contributors. To conclude, I would like to reiterate that we are committed to provide opportunities to all segments of ex-servicemen to improve their financial and social status through an inclusive, participatory, and holistic approach. On this day, we rededicate ourselves to the cause of Armed Forces veterans. This is the anthem which we dedicate to our veteran on 29 November. Please have a look.
अपना फर्ज निभाते हैं सैनिक इस देश को हिंदुस्तान बनाते हैं हम सब पे तेरा पहरा सुबह शाम था लगा वतन को काना टीका तेरे नाम का सब खुशियां तूने वारी इस देश पे इस मिट्टी पे भी फौजी तेरा एहसान था तेरे होने से ही हम यहाँ महफूज थे तेरे होने से ही जिंदा है ये धड़कन V for veterans तेरे साथ हैं हम V for veterans नहीं भूलेंगे हम V for veterans होंगे साथ कदम V for veterans तेरे साथ हैं हम
Thank you. With that, I have finished. Our next speaker is Major General N.R. Indurkar, Managing Director, ECHS. He heads the nodal agency for providing medical care for veterans. During 36 years of his illustrious service, Major General Indurkar has held varied instructional and staff appointments. His command appointments include command of an infantry battalion in United Nations mission, Rashtriya Rifle Sector, and General Officer commanding Paschim Madhya Pradesh sub-area. He is a graduate of Defense Services Staff College, Wellington, and has attended Higher Defense Management course at College of Defense Management, Secunderabad. Major General Indurkar shall be speaking on medical care for veterans. So.
Shri Vijay Kumar, Secretary, Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare, distinguished panelists present here, our distinguished friends from the corporate who are present here today, ladies and gentlemen. As you're all aware, the service conditions that a soldier goes through are very difficult. He joins the army as a fit young man, serves the nation with pride, physically fit. However, the service conditions take a toll on him during his years of service in the armed forces. As he retires and in the twilight years, the healthcare for an ex-serviceman becomes a very important aspect of the veteran care. So to that effect, the ex-serviceman contributory health scheme looks after the healthcare aspects of the veteran. Today's conclave here, today's seminar primarily seeks the assistance from the corporate as far as the veteran welfare are concerned. There are many ways in which the corporate can assist the veteran welfare. We just had certain presentations from the DGR as also from the KSB. In terms of the veteran welfare, today my focus in the presentation would be on the veterans hospital aspect, because that is something which is very dear to the veterans, that an exclusive facility for the care of the veterans pan-India at various places. So my focus would of course be that. Now, as you see, our vision primarily is to provide quality health care to the ex-serviceman. In his lifespan that he spends in the services, he is taken care of by the armed forces medical services facilities that are offered to him, where he is provided absolutely good quality care and treatment throughout his life. Right from the time, even when he is serving in far-flung areas, in the border areas, from there, the care and the service that is provided to him is excellent. He's taken care of in the hospitals in the forward areas, as also some bigger hospitals with better facilities which are there in the hinterland of the country. It is this ecosystem which needs to be extended to him subsequently after he retires. And this is what the ex-serviceman contributory health scheme aims to provide. A word about us, that is the ex-serviceman contributory health scheme. This scheme came into being in April 2003, so it's about 20 years old scheme that is there. It provides a one service with the one-time contribution that is taken from the ex-serviceman, and thereafter it is the government which is funding his health care through an ecosystem of ECHS polyclinics, the armed forces hospitals that are there, as also certain empaneled hospitals that the scheme empanels them. This is functioning under the Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare. You all are aware, that is how we are here today. We have a total of 433 ECHS polyclinics that are present here in the country today. 6 of them out of these are also in the Nepal, because there are a large number of Gorkha soldiers who were there in the army. To look after the health care of these Gorkha soldiers, we also run the scheme in Nepal. So Nepal also has an ecosystem of the ECHS polyclinics and the empaneled hospitals that are there in Nepal. In addition, we also have the ecosystem of the empaneled hospitals. There are about more than 3,000 hospitals that are there present in the country. So today, as I speak about it as to why we want to create the Veterans Hospital, veteran care is fundamentally a little different from the other normal treatment that is provided to the, or I would say in the private hospitals. A veteran care, primarily, there are many veterans who are battle-scarred, Today they are serving in difficult areas, in warlike conditions, as you are aware, on the line of control, on the line of actual control in the China recently when we have had the incidents like Galwan, etc. So there are conditions in which they are battle scarred. Psychologically, they need to be taken care of. And what it needs to be given is a holistic care rather than merely the bodily treatment of the disease. And therefore, a care which encompasses his physical needs and psychological needs is what is desirable as far as the veteran care and health care is concerned. So that aspect, we hope that the creation of the Veterans Hospital will cater to such needs of a soldier. The patient-centric care that is today provided in the Armed Forces Service hospitals, it is the same care that we aim to extend while we create the Veterans Hospital. And such an ecosystem is what we aim to create with the partnership of the government and the private sector. So what does this project involve? This primarily involves the construction of the Veterans Hospital. There are two models which we propose. One of the models is where the land is provided by the government and the private sector constructs the hospitals on those lands and also run these hospitals wherein the veterans have certain specific facilities reserved for them, and as also even the civilian patients may also be treated along with the veterans in those hospitals. The other model is that the entire infrastructure is provided by the government on the defense land, and thereafter it is only the running part of the hospital that is carried out by the corporate. And the third aspect today, what is lacking, it requires a lot amount of attention, is the care in the hospices. There are a large number of terminally ill patients who are there, and as you are aware, today in the country with the nuclear family, the old people, sometimes their children are away, they are not able to take care of them, and in such cases, when the terminal stage reaches and the hospitals, the doctors have already given up and they have reached their finality of the treatment, we require the hospices care for them. So it is this area which requires a lot of attention as far as the health care of the veterans is concerned. During our course of our study in the last 20 years that the ECHS has been there, we have found that there are certain specialities today which require the care and attention. Mostly these are in terms of the cardiology, the orthopedics, the oncology care, diabetes management and its fallout, the orthopedic care, the nephrology. Such are the categories where we require major focus in our Veterans Hospital. So we hope that by creating the Veterans Hospital with such specialities, we will be able to treat the veterans holistically in this. And during this, we should also focus on certain conditions that the veterans have developed during their service because of the exigencies of service that they have undergone. So primarily the care and focus should be towards the veterans and their ailments that they may have contracted over the years. So these are the objectives as far as the veterans hospitals are concerned. We need to improve the quality of care as we have today. While the private hospitals today are certainly providing a good care to our ex-servicemen, however, what we need to do is to create exclusive facilities which will help them to feel better that it is their own facility which is treating them, the nation is taking care of them, along with the government partnering with them. So we need to bring in certain global best practices while we are providing the healthcare services. As I said, various conditions that they may have contracted during their service, the focus has to be on treating those. Also, a very holistic treatment which contains the physical, psychological, and the psychosocial aspect also are taken care of. This is how a proposed architecture could be, wherein about a 200 to a 400 bedded hospitals are created. We expect the corporate to bring in the necessary technical expertise and the resources in terms of the capacity building and the maintenance and operation of the services for the veterans hospitals. It should add and improve the existing tertiary care facilities that are existing. We have the armed forces hospitals that are there. However, there are far and few in the country, only at limited places. So while we can have such hospitals created in the areas where the ex-servicemen are in large number, as also in certain places where the ecosystem of the armed forces hospitals is not there in the numbers and the quantity that is today available. We seek to employ qualified, experienced, and competent medical personnel in these hospitals, as also there is a large amount of ex-servicemen today who retire, who are medical professionals. They can also be, their help can also be sought in terms of creating employment with the creation of the veteran hospitals. This is just a proposed model as far as the administration of the Veterans Hospital is concerned. It is a partnership model where we'll have the members of the government, from the members of the ECHS, we have the members from the Director General Armed Forces Service, Medical Services, as also from the corporate. So three-tiered bodies are what are proposed as far as the administration of these hospitals are concerned. Now, the implementation of this is proposed with a pilot project running into these areas, and after a successful conduct of a pilot project, these could be created. A number of such veterans hospitals could be created in the country. Some of the preferable locations are as given out. These are the areas where the number of ex-servicemen are in large numbers, as also certain areas where the ecosystem of the armed forces hospitals and other empaneled hospitals is lacking. So this is how a mix of such places we wish to create such veterans hospitals. So what is the partner that he has to gain? You know, one is that today the partnership from the corporate as far as the veterans' welfare is concerned is what is a very important issue. Most of our speakers today, and that is how we have gathered here. So it's a win-win proposal. The corporate itself, a stronger brand image, recognition, and reputation is what the corporate can gain. It can create a meaningful and lasting impact on the lives of the beneficiaries. That is the beneficiaries, the veterans themselves, and it is a way of expressing the gratitude to the veterans for their service to the nation. By creating the Veterans Hospital, we also hope to reduce the cost with the help of the government services as far as the corporates are concerned, in their treatment of the civilians along with the veterans. And it is this kind of a creation of the Veterans Hospital will certainly distinguish, it will differentiate between the corporate competition and the welfare that they are going to provide. It will also attract and retain the employees, including the ex-servicemen, which is also one of the aims, that we find a better employment opportunities for the veterans. And this will provide access to the funding for creation of these hospitals. As you see, there are a large number of notable examples of the corporate in the healthcare, and we seek to partner and seek to have partnership with these corporates. We are aware of big names like the Reliance, which have their own hospitals. We have Tatas who are there in the hospital business. So such people we seek to have partnership with them so as to create these hospitals and serve the veterans with care. Thank you, gentlemen. I have finished.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Sri Anshuman Tripathi, who is a member of National Security Advisory Board. He is a Salon Fellow from Stanford Graduate School of Business and graduate of University of California. He specializes in creating entrepreneurial ecosystem worldwide in semiconductors, cyber, physical system, aerospace, and defense. Sri Tripathi was the chief mentor of Indian Air Force original Meher Baba drone competition. May I request Mr. Tripathi to share his vision and views. Sir.
Thank you, Commodore Saab, Secretary Saab, distinguished panelists, future veteran leaders of the world, and corporate friends. Thanks for the opportunity. Get my slides up. Have my slides. There you go. So, I think all of us are looking at the same problem from different angles, but I am going to look at ways to empower you individually. As they say in the United States, the army of one. You are the person that I want to empower and look at. As Commodore Saab said, I've been in India for a few years only, but there are two questions which are most frequently asked of me. And the second of those two, first is a different one, but the second question is, I missed my next promotion, and every Fauji knows how to finish this sentence or this question. What can I do in the corporate sector? This is where it all starts. But from my perspective, I feel you're the best resource for the corporate sector, or even for doing entrepreneurship. Today we are focused on Atmanirbhar Bharat. From an individual perspective, you have a pension, you have medical benefits, an empty nest or a near empty nest, kids have graduated on their way, you have a 360-degree experience, you know a lot, and you still have a lot to contribute in the world. So you have everything that it takes. So I'll actually divide my whole process in 4 parts in my whole presentation. What you don't know, what are the perceptions that you have and what the world has of you, and I'll try and share a methodology of actually how to go about bridging those gaps and then how to take it forward. Let's start with a spectrum of knowledge. Everything that you know or don't can be split into 4 parts, 4 quadrants. What you know what you know. That is your job today. You know for sure. The left lower quadrant. The left upper quadrant, you know what you don't know. I am not a pilot. I know I can't fly a plane to save anybody's life. I know I'm not a heart surgeon. I can't do a surgery. But for many of us, there are things that we know, but we don't know that we know. That's on the left side, the lower quadrant. And then the biggest black hole. You don't know what you don't know. I'll give you a very interesting example. 2014, newspapers in India had this front page thing that a Lamborghini crashed in a hotel in New Delhi. What happened? A person came in a Lamborghini Spider, got off, took out the keys and gave it to the valet to park. Now, he thought he's a valet at a 5-star, 7-star hotel in Delhi. He knows how to drive my Lamborghini. The Lamborghini valet, I know how to drive a Suzuki Swift. this is a Lamborghini. But if you've never been in a Lamborghini, you know it looks very different. It's got many things which you'd only see in a fighter plane's cockpit. So when he sat in and he pressed on the gas pedal, he crashed the multi-crore car right into the wall in front of the person who owned it. Why? Because there are two people who didn't know what they didn't know. So that is an area, I suppose, which is the biggest sense of uncertainty for anybody who's superannuating from any place and going into a different industry or sector. So what's the best route that you can take? You essentially start from what you know, then you look at what you know but you don't know, and then end up going into the areas which are completely unknown. What is the best way that you would do that? You'd look for transferable skills and knowledge, and you would look at your second innings. Let's assume at the starting you don't know what you want to do. So this is where you would take, this is a route. And everybody here with me, distinguished panelists, would all be making the same effort, and those who have successfully done the journey will tell you that this is the route they took as well. Nothing new here, no rocket science. So now we come to the perceptions part. This is a very interesting part. I hope everybody's with me till now. What your bosses think of you and what you think of yourself. If you didn't make your next promotion, I'm sure you feel your bosses think less of you than you think of yourself. If I sit down with you over a glass of wine or whiskey or Old Monk, I know Indian forces love Old Monk, you'd say a lot of things. You can finish this part of the sentence yourself. So your boss didn't think as much as you can, but you understand this Venn diagram pretty well. Now, what does the world think of you? The world thinks much highly of a veteran. I don't know if it's true now or not, but back in the day when I was a student, it used to be said that if a car was to be sold and it said belongs to an officer of the armed forces, it used to sell at 10% of a premium. Is that still true? That's a point. That shows something, how you conduct your daily business. You know, not part of the script, but people say, what is ethics? Ethics is what you do when no one is looking. That shows that there's a difference between having worn the uniform and not. There's a big difference. So if we are looking at what the world thinks of you, there is a very, very small overlap. What is that overlap? That overlap is the common skills and the common knowledge. What is that? You were a pilot in the Air Force and you joined an airlines. One-to-one straight movement. You joined the Merchant Navy. You commanded ships. You know exactly what's to do, what's to be done. You join in there. Those are not the area that I am focusing on today. We are going to look at the other part, potentially transferable knowledge. And for those of you who might feel that I just put this slide deck together last night, I've done this over and over again over the years for officers in many countries. These are same challenges they feel. Some countries the mobility is easier. Some countries we are still trying to learn. So potentially transferable knowledge. Now is that whole circle with a little bit of a cusp the one that is transferable knowledge? No. The reason for that is there are things the world thinks of you that you're not. If you walk through your parents' neighborhood and you look and talk to someone and says, yeah, so-and-so's son is in the Air Force, they might assume that you fly a plane, but you might not. So just because the world thinks of you does not mean that you can do that. So I've sized it out to transferable knowledge. That hemisphere with a cusp is the area that we focus on right now. So how to discover your transferable skills? This is the biggest enigma that is all over the world. When you go and talk, you'll see people talking about this in different ways. How do I get the transferable skills? Now let's look at how we go to the transferable skills. There's something which I call a statistical survey. And mind you, it's all a very structured process that you can follow individually to come to your own personal conclusions. These are not something which are cookie made and one size, if a person does, will fit the other person. I understand that when we work together, we have this weakness that if one course mate did it, let me just copy and use it. No. You all have a significant other which is unique. And this is your significant resume which has to be unique. You can't copy. So now we come to the methodology part. Let's look at the statistical survey. When I say use the word statistics or a statistical significance, you have to talk to more than 50 people. But in my personal experience, when I talk to any Fauji and I give him anything, the first words out of his mouth is my course mate, and then starts everything. Can help me do this? My course mate already got a job, blah, blah. My course mate's brother-in-law is working, blah, blah, blah. So if I'm asking you to do 50 consultative conversations, what I'm suggesting is not with your course mate. All your course mates is just one data point. You were trained together, you served together, you have experiences together. You are not that far apart from each other. This is the biggest issue that I have found. That is different. Then if I am able to go past the part of your course mate, then it goes, my former CEO. Well, your superiors are highly distinguished, but that's still a very small data set. So you get to a different data set. What you need to do is talk to civilian acquaintances. Now, believe me, hold on with me. I'm going to give you a full algorithm of how to go through this whole thing. These interactions are very specific, very cogent, and very to the point. This is the most important slide of them all. The interactions. Each interaction should not be more than 15 to 20 minutes. That's it. No loose talk, nothing going here and there. And please share a hard copy of your present resume. And I mean hard copy. I have people who come in to talk to me, superannuating colonels and all, and the message comes in, sir, I've sent you my 5-page resume on WhatsApp. Doesn't work. My phone's out there. A phone is this big. The access page is small. You are doing yourself a disservice by sending me or anybody that you're talking to a 5-page resume on WhatsApp. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to flip through and say, yeah, that's good. But when you sit down with me over coffee and you put a full 5-page resume on A4 size sheet, I will skip through it, and some things might catch my interest and some things won't. But in the 15-minute time slot, you would probably focus on 1 or 2 sections only, nothing else, just 1 or 2 sections. It could be when you worked in Gulf of Aden, you worked in, a peacekeeping force, you went to Sierra Leone, and you might start talking. I'll tell you a conversation with a guy I had. He said, "Sir, I was in Sierra Leone, blah, blah, blah." And this person was a Bengali. And he said, "Sir, did you know Sierra Leone has Bengali as their national language after the Indian contingent served in Sierra Leone?" He said, "No, we didn't." And that is how they bonded. And he said, "Let me help you with blah, blah, blah." So that was a special, focused conversation in a specific direction. You get your own way of working with that person. You learn to look at the world from his or her perspective, looking at your resume, your Fauji resume. While you're doing this, and believe me, it's only 15 minutes, you're not asking for more. Don't take more. Observe their observations. For the same sentence that you write in Fauji language, the civilian person might have a different choice of words, a different skill set. I'll give an example of a person, a young girl came by for an internship, and her resume, she was not from the forces obviously, but she came by for an internship, and her resume said experience negotiating with irrational clients. It caught my eye. Experience negotiating with irrational clients. And I said, "Beth, you worked in the United Nations? What do you mean by irrational clients?" And she smiled and said, "Sir, in class 12, I was a babysitter." So, and the moment she said babysitter, and she was in undergraduate, so she was doing a bachelor's. This was only like 2 years before when she was a babysitter. But it kind of struck. Did she lie on the resume? No. Were kids irrational? Yes. In United States of America, you just can't give one whack straight if there's a kid. You have to talk to the kid. You would be surprised how many times there are people of Indian origin who come back with their kids on the flight and they are restrained and the kid does something wrong. When the moment they land in New Delhi, one whack. This is not America, kid. You behave on my terms. This is a very common problem. Kids can't be beaten, so you have to negotiate. So this lady, a young girl in a college, her experience negotiating with irrational clients. So just a choice of words I wanted to give you as an example. So be very careful, note the words, and that will help you rephrase the exact same resume that you have. And as an example, I would say Google or any search engine that you like to use, ChatGPT now, you could go and see there are templates of how you can change your resume from a military resume to a civilian resume with transferable skill, naming conventions, blah, blah, blah. But that is something important. But the last part is the most important. When you're finished with the interaction with the individual, you say, "Sir, ma'am, thank you for your time. Who would you suggest I go and talk to?" Ask for 3 references or contacts. The difference is they might give you a name of a person. They might say, "I know the person. He's my course mate. You go talk." Or they might say, "I don't know the person, but here's a person that you think would be good fit for your background. That person also worked in Sierra Leone. Go talk to that person." So you say thank you and you move on. If they give you a contact, great. Else you find it on the email and you say, you write an email which is called a cold call, and you tell them on a cold call saying, sir, ma'am, I'm doing this exercise of discovering my transferable skills. Would you mind if giving me 15 minutes of a time? And I promise you that I won't take more than 15. And stick to it. Why I'm saying stick to the 15 minutes is, after the 15 minutes of serious talk, you start second guessing yourself. And everything that you've built in the 15 minutes will come crashing down. Don't do that. So I would request you to give 3 contacts if somebody comes to you, but there could be a situation the guy might give you only 2, or might give you 5, might not give you even 1. But when that kind of a situation happens, remember, this is statistical. Over the number of people that you talk to, the average will come down to 3. It's an important part. Now what happens when you've done about 25 of them? You will see when you put your resume out there, a pattern will emerge. Most people look at some peculiar parts of your resume, and most times is the same part of your resume that they are looking at. They have a curiosity, or they are amused, or whatever. So you have to actually focus on that pattern which comes up. And with every time that you talk, you could iterate on your resume. You will end up with using new words which are, civilian in shape, form, connotations, blah, blah. It'll all start changing. Between the people you talk to and the contacts you're given, prioritize on strangers and seniority. Don't go to the same kind of person. Oh yeah, he's also from the Air Force, I'm from the Air Force. Let me go and talk to sir, he'll be able to help me. No. As far removed as unknown an acquaintance, the better and the richer will be your interaction. Believe me, in India and in the world, veterans carry a very strong brand appeal. If I had to use data, big data, and give a thumbs up, give a rule of thumb, it's on the 10% that you pay for a car, a second-hand car, for a car which has been owned by an officer. You carry at least 10% more brand appeal. So, cash in on that. I usually give a very long, elaborate one, and if the Secretary Sahab would like, at some point I can come and give a larger workshop on the topic. But over the time, as you iterate, reiterate, refine this whole activity, move from 25 onwards, that hemisphere with the cusp will start getting filled. You'll get and identify and discover things about yourself that you knew you did not know that you know, or you will get confidence in yourself. I'm not asking you to lie. You are negotiating with irrational clients. Yes. An irrational client is an irrational client. It could be a giant baby or a small baby. So you have to come up with your own solution, which is not the same as your course mate's solution. Don't make the mistake of this course mate to course mate thing that happens. Move away from this and build your own repertoire, your own network, your own sense of accomplishments, your own persona on the civilian side. And there's a whole list of tools that you can use: LinkedIn, Facebook, your resume itself. How do you do it? People don't use the old standard cookie-cutting resume that people give nowadays. Nowadays, when I see the old resume, looks like the tender that the Ministry of Defense puts out for buying blah, blah, blah. Your name, father's name, age, this is where I worked. No. Now is the age of something which is called an infographic resume. Google what's an infographic resume. An infographic resume is different from the one that I'm asking you to start with. Now, when you use an infographic resume, that infographic resume is something that you can send on WhatsApp that you don't have to talk to the other person for. This is a resume that that person can forward to 5 people and say, hey, I found this guy, he's got an interesting experience. If nothing else, just talk to him. You'd like talking to him. He's pretty interesting. So that's a different resume. But if you go to talk, many people I know have talked in the crowd. I'm sure you're looking for a new position, you've talked to people. But when you go without a resume, it's just a social interaction. You will throw 5 names of things that you have done. Of that 5, he'll look at 2, yes. But when you put a full resume in front of the person, in paper, hard copy format, it's a whole different deal. You'll have to give it a try to appreciate its power and actually what it can do for you. I'm sure there are no alcoholics in the crowd, but if you has anybody gone through the Alcoholics Anonymous program, you would see that also goes to the same thing. You don't know what you don't know. This is a similar kind of a way where you look at you don't know what you don't know and then you learn to bring it in. So for further reading, I know that this was a short presentation. The 2 books that I recommend the most, The Courage to be Disliked. That's on the philosophical side of things. Please don't carry the baggage. I didn't make my promotion, I didn't do this cut, that guy was wrong to me, this and that. That is a book that you will like. The Courage to be Disliked. And the second one that you should read is What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And that's self-explanatory. What got you here through the ranks, all the things that you've done, is not what will take you there. And it'll give you similar structures of what you need to do. So that was my pretty much my presentation. If there are people afterwards, I'll be around. Anybody wants to talk, or if we want to do a workshop sometime, I'll be happy to conduct something. But I'll end with the usual thing. Subheda Neeraj Chopra, what is the tagline which would go with this? It's pretty famous. There's only one. And that comes from the poet Wahid's line. Tu bhi hai Rana ka vanshaj, phek jahan tak bhala jaye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such insightful thoughts sharing with us. We have now Lieutenant General Santosh Kumar Upadhyay, who's a veteran, Army veteran with nearly 4 decades of service experience. As MGO at Army Headquarters, he headed the branch responsible for logistic readiness of Indian Army. Apart from core competence of military operation and strategy, his specializations are supply chains for restricted vendor-based items, womb-to-tomb, sustenance of complex platform systems, and government procurements. General Upadhyay is currently the advisor to Adani Defense and Aerospace. I'll request General Upadhyay to share his view now.
On a panelist on the stage and the audience, friends in the audience. I don't have a PowerPoint, but I'll try and make my points quickly. And firstly, I must appreciate and thank Anshuman for the wonderful structured thing that he put across. Actually, I have also never thought of it like this. We have never gone through this process. But apart from going through the process, maybe if we had not thought of it, we would have done things in a different way. But notwithstanding, really something which needs to be taken home by DGR himself and see how it can be used. But let me put across a few points. Why I am here is very simple, because I have been on the services side, and we are looking out and saying what happens and where do our veterans go, where do we at some stage were we thinking as veterans what we'll do. And now for the last 1 year, I am not spent that much time, but 1 year I have spent on the industry side. And so I am seeing some things from this side. To start with, the DGR himself, the Secretary DSW himself, all of them have listed out various strengths and competencies which the veterans have. Put it across to the industry side, especially the defense industry side. There is a huge requirement, right? So it should be a no-brainer that these people should get absorbed on the other side, but at the end of it, we find that the perception and actual reality also is that people are getting only that many jobs. So where is the issue? You know, we could see it from 2 points of view. One is at the organizational level, what the organization does, what it is doing, is it doing it correctly? And at the individual level, how does an individual prepare? And after preparing, when he comes out, what does he do? If he gets into the industry, what does he bring and what the industry thinks of himself? So that is where Anshuman has captured some things. And now, being in the place that I am, I do come across people who come to us. My own organization asks me to get these people, evaluate these people. And I have a singular metric. A lot of people recommend names and stuff like that. I said, one wrong person coming into the industry side will prevent 10 more coming in. So we have to be very sure that the gentleman who comes in, despite all the qualities we have listed out, has to really uphold the flag for the services. That is one. But do what we may, whatever the organization may do and prepare us for going out, it is very difficult to be actually fully prepared. And you enter this industry and you find that from day one you will hit the ground running and be able to do things as you are doing during your service career. It is not going to happen. Because apart from your skills, it is your mindset change, it is the method of working, it is the method of getting work from others, it is the method of achieving results. Everything is different. Everything is different. So I think now when I meet people, youngsters who are preparing to move on and people who are looking for a second career, I tell them that because this last 1 year, first 6 months, I was also struggling, you know. Despite the last 5 years or so of my 5 to 6 years of my service, I had very close interaction with the industry. But it was interaction from the other end, not from within. When you come on this side, everything is different. So that is where, so I wanted to list out a few points. What should these guys do for preparing, apart from the structure which has been listed out? So first thing, you definitely have skills and competencies which the civil industry can't have. You have an understanding of various systems, its utilization, and your ability to grasp how this thing will be used, why it will be used, and how does it fit into the whole system. The industry on the other side doesn't know this. So what do you have to do? You have to do this transfer of knowledge. You have to be the interface of transferring this knowledge. Not an easy task to do. Sometimes we hold on to our knowledge. There's nothing to hold on. So we have to, when we get into the CV street, we have to actually consciously think, how do I become this interface? How do I transfer knowledge from the military side to the industry side? And also, you will gradually pick up stuff from the industry which needs to be told to the user or the military side. So this, if you can play this role well, you will find yourself succeeding increasingly. Then is individual, your ability to handle human resource. The military side is there. It works in a particular structured manner. But as you step out, we are all aware that there will be a lot of unstructured manner. Organizations are not that structured. The working is not that structured. You could have matrix organizations working non-linearly. So with all that, how do you adjust your style to the requirements of the new organization is one thing. I have seen in the last 1 year itself, a lot of people who are unable to actually make this transition and adjust there. And one of the best methods to adjust to this new organization, new environment, is you start mentoring others. As I said, you have a lot of skills, you have a lot of knowledge, and you have a lot of experience, which the other people cannot just gain. So if you start mentoring, you will find there will be a response from the other side. There will be people coming up to you. You will be able to guide them. And your acceptability in the organization will be that much faster, and you will be able to actually move on with things. So mentoring will actually be, if you can take up that role and be conscious of the fact, you will be able to do that knowledge transfer, interfacing, all that will fall in place. So individual level, I think somewhere we have to keep telling our guys that you need to prepare for this. Organization, DGR and all have listed out with the help of IIMs, IITs, we are preparing everybody. Yes, very nice. But I will only recommend one thing, that we may like to, on a regular basis, evaluate the outcomes of these courses and question them again and again. That what are you doing, is it correct? It should reflect in the number of people who are attending these courses. Are they actually getting placed in the industry? So that could be a thing. Otherwise, over a period of time, we say, okay, this course is running, it is very stable, very good. You're getting a brand value to it. But if the outcome is not there, it has no meaning. So there could be a reason to, continuously evaluate these things. Then I see the HR in any organization or in the industry side, it follows its own process. The CV, Anshuman mentioned, and I'm sure Admiral Ahuja will be covering, the CV which comes is given to the HR. He then puts it through whatever he has to put it through. The first challenge is for that CV to reach the HR. If the HR is active himself and is looking out for some technical guys, he will take everything, filter it, and do something. But if it gets outsourced to another agency, that other agency is not bothered about what is the technical requirement. He lay down some parameters that there should be some certification, there should be some qualification, and he will apply those things and filter out. And you will find most of our ex-servicemen getting filtered out because those keywords and certifications will be missing. And those keywords can only come if you have obtained those certifications. So our internal organizations have to work towards, enabling our guys achieve those certifications. So there must some amount of research will have to go towards that, so that the organization can prepare these guys, and people don't get filtered out at level 1 itself. They never come into the main selection process, so obviously intake will be that much lesser. And of course, if I see this industry I think has to do a little bit in-house. Whatever ex-servicemen come, the initial period is challenging. There have to be some onboarding exercises for them to understand, help them settle down, which may be missing in some organizations, which I think whenever we as an industry meet, we do keep talking, and I emphasize on this point. Onboard these people, give them some time so that they can quickly come into your organization. So it is at, as I said, individual level, organizational level, something within the industry, all this will help us go to a different level. So that has been my experience, and it is from all of this only that when I met General Kapoor, that I got hold of him and I told him, get you and my HR set, and I told my HR, you have to regularly go and meet him. Similarly, I have put him in touch with the Army's placement organization, the Naval Placement Agency, and the Air Force has got its placement cell, all these guys. So we can also be proactive. We are trying to do that so that instead of people missing out, we go there. But I think what all of us are talking are the officer level placements. The challenge for us, the base is the Jawan, and the bulk comes out from there. And the placement for them is not easy, and the scope is also limited. So that is another area to discuss, because industry will absorb somebody having skills. So that is another area to address, another area to do. Maybe I'll request Anshuman to give a thought and come up with something different for them. And, but the idea of putting my organization directly in touch with the DGR as well as the three services was this, that you go down and try and pick up the guys right from the source, as close to the source as possible. That is my impression, and how we can take it forward. Idea definitely. And last I can say, industry is very keen, definitely. Having seen the industry, they always keep telling me, sir, get us some guys who are like this, who can do this. But at the end of it, getting around and getting good guys in the sense is people knowing whom to connect, where to connect, and becoming available in the right manner is a challenge, definitely. Despite internet and everything, it remains a challenge, which we are conscious of it. I am trying to address it, but I suppose the efforts of all of us together, we should be moving ahead. Thank you. Jan.
Thank you, sir. Our last speaker is Rear Admiral Surendra Ahuja, who has served with distinction in the Navy for 3 decades. A former Navy test pilot, Admiral Ahuja's last assignment in the Navy was overseeing aircraft carrier projects, including steering the Joint Working Group of Aircraft Carrier Technology Corporation with the United States Navy. Admiral Ahuja is presently the Managing Director of Boeing Defense India. He is responsible for the execution of current and the future programs across all Boeing Defense India business sectors in collaboration with other Boeing entities operating in India. I'll request Admiral Ahuja to share his views, sir.
I'm conscious of the fact that I'm the last speaker, and apparently all of you perhaps want to just leave this place and get back home. Huge disadvantage, but I'll try and keep you occupied for the next 10 minutes or so. I'll try and be brief. A lot of what I would have liked to say has already been said. Another disadvantage has been you come after the folks like Mr. Anshuman Tripathi and General Upadhyay. But let me to start with compliment DGR and Kendriya Sainik Board for organizing an event such as this. This is just awesome opportunity for the industry to be in front of organizations such as DGR and Kendriya Sainik Board, and Secretary DESW himself being present here. I think it's a huge sort of stage, as it were, for industry to interact with agencies that are really looking into the aspects of welfare for veterans and get to understand. I'm a veteran myself, as was introduced. I served in the Indian Navy for 33 years, took voluntary early retirement in the rank of Rear Admiral in 2018. But I did one thing very smart after that, and I recommend everyone seeking second innings in industry is to figure out what your skills are, but also more importantly perhaps to figure out what your gaps are. Mr. Anshuman Tripathi actually covered this subject very, very well, and in fact I would recommend Mr. Tripathi to come up with a white paper of sorts that is sort of for dummies, as it were. But I would also say, Windows for Dummies, we've all grown up reading those books. But I was extremely impressed by your homework, to start with, and a complete grasp over the subject. So, but I would also say that most of what you said, unfortunately, was officer-oriented. And General Upadhyay sort of mentioned it. Given the passion that you have on the subject, it's pretty evident. I would strongly recommend, and General Upadhyay said as well, if you could bring it something like this for Jawans as well, because that's where the real problem is. Of course, officers also would benefit significantly from what you've done, but I think Jawans need something at a different level. And I think the challenges there are more because unlike, I would say, in the Navy and the Air Force, Jawans coming out from the Army are relatively differently skilled. I won't say they're unskilled. And to get them ready for the industry poses different challenges. It's easy for everybody to see Army Jawan coming out as another security Jawan, you know, standing outside a building. And that's something that I strongly recommend that we as officers advise our Jawans not to go for the low-hanging fruit. This is just an absolutely the wrong thing to do. And I would also perhaps recommend the officers to know their worth. Most of the time, we do not know how good we are, how much of value we can bring to the industry. It's just, and I think again, Mr. Tripathi covered, oftentimes we don't know what we know. Oftentimes we under-evaluate ourselves and undersell ourselves and actually set the stage for the rest of the industry to sort of estimate and peg officers leaving armed forces at that level. So please do not go for the low-hanging fruit. Understand how valuable you are. For that, you need to know yourself. And then please upskill yourself. And somebody said, reskill yourself. And I think General Kapoor said, reorient your skilling for what lies ahead in the industry. So there are a few notes that I took while others were speaking, and then I'll come to my slides, and I'll try and cover them quickly. Just a piece of advice or suggestion for DESW, DGR, etc. I don't think we should play the sympathy card too much. We should play the value card. You know, I saw some videos here, fantastic videos. Some of them aimed at value that veterans bring, but many of them, and please don't get me wrong, those are important issues. Don't sell the sympathy card. Oh, veterans have suffered, oh sorry, these Jawans and officers have suffered a lot, they've had a tough life, and now we as nation need to do something for them. Yes, it's important, but I think the value that veterans bring to the table is just immense, and I think we need to sell that, identify that, and talk more of that. And I certainly request DGR and others involved in this to look at that carefully. There is a whole lot of value that we bring to the industry. And I can tell you my personal example. I've just had phenomenal last 4 years with the Boeing company. Of course, I had skills that worked for me, but I upskilled myself. I went to Chicago Booth School of Business. For 1 year, I put my head down and studied what I clearly knew that I don't know. And that helped. And then, of course, Boeing picked me up, and now running Boeing's business in the country. And I think reasonably well, because the company sort of seems to have reposed their faith in me. So very important that we understand our value and not necessarily just play on the sympathy card. Doesn't work for long enough. Advice for the corporates is the armed forces personnel bring some real values such as attitude, loyalty, customer awareness, customer needs. When I say customer, I mean armed forces, and perseverance, ability to take pain is not necessarily there in a whole lot of people coming from other backgrounds. Advice for veterans is identify your gaps, upskill yourself, reorient, upskill, whatever you want to use the word. Do not go for low-hanging fruits, and do not settle. A lot of Fauji's tend to settle for the first job they get. You're underselling yourself. All right, can we go to the next slide? Let me just talk about Boeing a little bit. We are huge in India, frankly. We are very buoyant on the talent that India has to provide, and a significant part of it comes from the veterans. We employ about 5,000 personnel today, and next year, this time, we'll be 6,000. That's the rate which we are growing. We have a joint venture with Tata called as Tata Boeing Aerospace Limited. We manufacture Apache fuselages, not just for India, but for the world. And every customer in the world who flies Apaches actually flies Apaches made in India. Fuselages are made here first, and then they're exported. And this is an Indian company, joint venture with Tata's, wherein the Tatas hold 51% share, and we hold only 49%. So we are proud that it's an Indian company held by Tata's, a very respected group. And these Apache fuselages are something that I said, every customer in the world, including United States Army. So if US Army today flies Apaches, they have their beginnings in India, here in Hyderabad. And we made 200 of them, and we churn 8 fuselages every month. And likewise, we work with 300 suppliers. We source $1 billion worth of equipment and services from India every year. Put that in context. That's north of 8,000 crores worth of products and services we, the Boeing company, imports from India. And I can tell you, 4 years from now, when I meet you, it will be $2 billion. We are so buoyant on India. We are right now creating a Boeing campus, which will be largest technology and research and development campus outside of the United States, here in Bangalore, just south of the runway, in 43 acres of land. We'll be able to house 6,000 employees there. So and there's a whole lot of data there, but perhaps you don't have the time for it. Let's go to the next slide, please. We've been fortunate. We've done good business with the armed forces. We are very proud that the armed forces are flying all these products that you see on the slide. C-17s, the strategic airlifter, P-8I, the maritime reconnaissance aircraft that the Indian Navy flies, Apache helicopter, the best attack helicopter there in the world, Chinook, and then we have Boeing 737 and 777s, which are used for head of state and VVIP missions. So, and they operate from various parts of the country, and my team, operates alongside the warfighter in every base they are. So I have a team in Pathankot, I have a team in Chandigarh, I have a team in Mohanbari, I have a team in Hindon, I have a team in Palam, I have a team in Chennai. So wherever operators are there, we've set up small team to look after the interests of the armed forces on 24/7 basis. Next slide, please. All right, very quickly talking about what we are doing at the global level. The Boeing company has been recognized as one of the finest companies looking after the interests of the veterans. At a global level, we have 15% of our workforce consisting of veterans. And in my team, which looks after the defense business, I'm very proud to say, north of 60% of my team is veterans, 60%. And we continue to hire more because they bring value, not because there's any sympathy attached. And we won't hire them if they don't bring value, period. I mean, businesses eventually are here for profit, and if your employees don't bring value, you won't get hired. So, and we clearly believe that the veterans bring value. So that's the card I go to play again and again as leaders here. And of course, there's some more data here, but just to tell you, 15,500 plus veterans around the world work for the Boeing company. And we're really, really, really proud of them. Next slide, please. Some goals and objectives of what we believe in. Recruit veterans, connect veterans, develop them, and then deploy. And in every aspect of this, we are succeeding because they bring value. Next slide, please. Again, we also have Boeing India Veterans Engagement Chapter, so which I lead for the Boeing company. Again, there are a whole lot of things written here. We hire, we sort of make sure that the differences that exist between the culture of the armed forces and the culture within the armed forces, within the corporate, we bridge that in a soft manner so that they have soft landing when they arrive here. We know it takes time for a veteran to sort of get used to corporate way of life, but we have structured programs to make sure that they have that sort of comfort and they're able to transfer their skills from what they did during their first career. And again, professional development, and we also do a lot for the community. Next slide, and that's perhaps the last slide. Very quickly, the Boeing company in India, are doing a lot of work for veteran skilling. Again, the details are on the slide, and I can interact with DGR and KSB and the secretary later. But we we believe that this is a cause worth doing, and a significant amount of our funds from CSR perspective go in this domain. We are working with veterans, not just from the armed forces, but also from Central Reserve Forces, Security Force, CISF and stuff like that, CRPF. So anyone who wears uniform is a potential candidate for us to sort of help upskill for corporate jobs. I know we are all sort of wanting to leave this place. I'll sort of vacate this place. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Really appreciate the work that DGR and Secretary DESW are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This brings us to the end of this afternoon proceedings. This seminar was an attempt by Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare towards creating awareness and encouraging industry participation in the vital field of veterans rehabilitation, welfare and medical care. Our aim was to showcase the existing mechanism of the Veterans Affair and to seek participation in this field by industry partners. It needs no emphasis that the effort towards providing necessary support to the armed forces veterans, widows and their dependents need to be enhanced and taken as a national responsibility. Herein, the corporate sector can pitch in and play a vital role. On behalf of Secretary of Ex-Servicemen Welfare, I would like to thank each one of our distinguished speakers for sparing their valuable time and enlightening us. I would also like to thank members of the industry for joining us this afternoon. In addition, I would like to thank each one of the member and august delegates sitting in the gathering. A special thanks to the friends from the media. Lastly, our special thanks to Department of Defense Production and Aero India 23 team for providing us this forum and extending all the help for making this event a success. Now I'd like to request Secretary DSW to facilitate our distinguished speakers. So. Thank you very much. May I request all of you to please join us for a cup of tea just outside the hall. Thank you.